Under the same moon, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure might, watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. It's been a busy week, and we unfortunately ended with a shooting in Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to cover it, folks. Let's tune in. All right, shout out to you, Sharon. Thanks for being here. We have JDP in the building, Mashona, Drabanat. We have a lot of people. We're covering the shooting that just happened. It's an active situation in Atlanta, Georgia, by the CDC. Okay, so we're going to try to get sound. Hey guys, we're working on sound now. Not sure what the issue is. Guys, I'm working on sound. Not sure what the issue is. Guys, hold tight for 1 second here.
Is this from our tower, by the way? Do we know that in the control room? Yeah, this is from our tower. This is basically on the roof of our building here. So it just gives you an idea of how close we are. Fox 5's Eric Perry stationed out there on Clifton Road, monitoring the activity of police. Eric, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Tom, Courtney. So I talked to this man right here. He didn't want to interview live with us, but he wanted to share these details. His child, we talked about this earlier, and I heard you guys talking about it. That daycare that is right next to that CDC building, his child is in there right now. So, of course, he is a worried parent that came over here to pick up his child. He says that they got an alert that all of those kids are safe at the moment. So that is the blessing in all of this. He doesn't believe that any of those kids inside that daycare facility, which would be right across the street from the CVS, next to the CDC. That's where his child is, and he believes that they will be okay, that they say that they will bring those children and those small kids out to meet the parents. But he told me he's not going anywhere until he lays eyes on his little one. And of course, this is around the time that they would be picking up as well. So any of those parents might
Guys, thank you to Mashona for helping me
well,
figure it out.
to this
Thank you,
parent and the
Mashona.
alert that he received. He says that those kids there at that daycare center next to the CDC are okay as well. And just reiterating that statement from Lorraine Cochran Johnson, the CEO of DeKalb County, she's sending her thoughts and prayers to those impacted by this. And she's also thanking law enforcement officers. It seems that she probably will have another statement and wouldn't be shocked if she was at that press conference that is set to take place any minute now. Scott, can you focus over there to my right, to the camera's left as well? Lady in the pink shirt, woman who looks to be maybe in scrubs, not in another man in the green shirt. We've been seeing them. They're at the CVS, or if maybe they were in the CDC, but it looks like they have some sort of connection to what happened. Maybe they were there. They've been talking with law enforcement officers. They have.
So we're covering a shooting in Atlanta, Georgia. Seems that someone has been unalived.
Investigators, and that's what we have seen now. So it has gone from that more active and running situation with law enforcement to now they're scouring the scene. I've seen them looking over in the bushes to make sure that they are combing through any type of evidence or any type of thing that might be happening, in talking with a lot of the people who might have been in the area when all of this.
This is not. Let's see here.
Told to stay here in this area. I'm assuming there are probably other parents who are nearby or close, or maybe on the other side of where the scene is, trying to get to their child as well, Courtney.
So, Eric, people really aren't being allowed through that scene yet. I mean, they still have it blocked off, whether you have a kid that might be in the daycare center or not. We can presume that the parents have been communicated with, that their kids are okay. But you can imagine that, the frayed nerves out there is they just want to give their child a big hug and thank the Lord that they weren't involved somehow in this melee, this fatal melee that happened earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, he was just really grateful to get that message. He said that his child was going to be okay. Our Kim Luffler, who is at the hospital, she sent in an email of a screenshot because where that CVS is, which is on the other side, that there are different studios. There's an Orange Theory there. There are eateries there. There's a ballet studio there. They've been canceling classes because, as you can see, no one's able to come in. And I haven't seen a lot of people leaving this area as well. So if you have any type of business that's up there, you can expect those canceled canceled classes, those canceled reservations. They're not letting anyone near that scene, Tom. This is as close as we've been able to get, and those on the other side of the tape, they're not going to be able to get any closer to that CVS or really this area.
Yeah, it's been a literal blockade, if you will, Eric, as we can see from the perspective of your camera there, and being one of the first reporters there on the scene in the early going, you just fired up your cell phone and you showed us what was going on in the early moments after this shooting unfolded just before 5 o'clock this afternoon. To give you a quick recap, just located within a mile of our studios here at Fox 5 and directly across the street from the Centers for Disease Control, at least one gunman opening fire there at the CVS drugstore, which is located feet away from the CDC, just across the street. We know that that suspect is dead. We saw from our helicopter earlier the body being brought out of the drugstore underneath a white sheet. We know that at least one civilian victim and one police officer have been transported to Emory University Hospital, which you could walk to from the CVS drugstore there on Clifton Road to be treated. We heard something about surgery involving the officer. From that area and very close in proximity to where all of this unfolded.
Yeah, this is all happening, of course, in an area that is just highly populated, densely populated with, as Eric mentioned, dance studios, restaurants. There are apartments on the upper levels in that same Emory Point Center where the CVS is located. And so now we're understanding that that shelter-in-place order has been lifted and that the threat has been neutralized. Good to report that the children who were in the daycare center that's on the CDC campus are okay. Our Eric Perry is there and talked with a father who's still waiting to pick up his child, but sure to be a relief for him and many other parents who are still waiting to pick up their kids. Although it might take some time as there are so many streets that are blocked off with this massive police presence that's still there in the area.
And so a couple of elements that we got into the Fox 5 newsroom, one of them was a CDC headquarters building across the street. And we know of at least one impact here. Take a look at that. And if you can see out the window how high that bullet went before it impacted the window there. These are obviously as far as we know, didn't penetrate the window, but we know that buildings 21 at the CDC, 24, and perhaps building 18 were impacted by.
So those bullets hit the CDC, which is quite terrifying.
It was just this a lunatic on the loose inside the CVS drugstore.
But again, as we've talked about, it's hard to believe that a bullet could be a stray bullet striking that high and on a building that's across the street from the CVS where the shooter, we understand, was located. Here is what Governor Brian Kemp is saying in reaction to the shooting. He said this: twice this week, deranged criminals have targeted innocent Georgians. Each time, brave first responders rushed toward the danger to subdue the shooter and save lives, reminding us just how crucial they are. Marty, the girls and I are thankful for all those who answer the call to serve and who protect their fellow Georgians. We ask that you join us in holding them in our prayers, along with those harmed this evening near the CDC center. So Governor Kemp obviously referring to that shooting we saw at Fort Stewart earlier this week, in which 5 soldiers were shot by their fellow soldier. Thankfully, those soldiers pulled through. They were injured, of course, but also the CEO of DeKalb County is also responding to this situation. Here's her statement: "My thoughts and prayers are with all those affected by today's incident on the Emory campus. I am grateful for the swift and coordinated response from our law enforcement agencies and first responders. We are closely monitoring the situation and will provide updates as they become available." She says this: "I urge everyone to stay alert, remain indoors, and follow official guidance."
Thank you to Mashona for helping me out with that. And also JDP, we're learning the system.
To see this very large police presence.
Thank you.
You see them still lining the street up and down Clifton Road. That is the street that divides the CVS there on the left. You can see the daycare center that we've been referring to there on the right on the CDC campus. And our Eric Perry, who is there on the ground, said just a few minutes ago he saw a SWAT vehicle head in the direction of the CDC campus with some of their SWAT team members there on the back of the truck.
And we mentioned, Courtney, you pointed out earlier that there's a daycare center right there, just feet away from where all of this unfolded.
Bob, this happened within the last couple of hours.
There, perhaps to collect their.
But it's still an active situation.
This situation, mercifully. So we showed you the element where the bullet, presumably from a.
Thank you, Joshua, for reading my lips.
For you, and if we still have that sound in the control room, I'll give you a second to cue that up. What we heard in the moments when all of this unfolded, we heard the warning sirens wail earlier, and we caught some sound of that in the early stages of all of this unfolding. Listen to this. That was an alert siren put out in the CDC area. This is the backyard of Fox 5, just to give you
Do we have any people here from Atlanta, Georgia?
Why our reporters were among the first there on the scene to report on what was going on in the early moments of when all of this chaos and confusion unfolded there in the CVS drugstore across the street from the CDC. We know that gunman has been neutralized, is dead, and we know that 2 casualties, including at least 1.
So the gunman has been unalive, folks.
Hospital to be treated.
Yeah, and this quick update here from Atlanta police. They're now saying that the incident involved a single shooter who is now deceased. 1 law enforcement officer was injured, as we know. Let's get out to our Eric Perry. He's been standing by there.
Derek says people in urban areas are exposed to gunfire every day. How about some energy when the shots are in the hood? Exactly. Derek, thank you for tuning in.
At CDC as well. I've been messaging several of my sources who work at the CDC. One of them told me they left right before all of this happened, but several of their colleagues are still inside. So we can maybe presume that maybe they're going to do a sweep inside that CDC to get those people out safely. But this all happened as people were wrapping up working or their work day here on a Friday. But I'm told that there still are people inside of the CDC that were still sheltering in place, still on lockdown. So it is safe to.
Mashona says, so true, Derek. JDP says, hello to Shauna, Script, Bart, and Derek. Yes, welcome each and every one of you.
I'm not sure if he got any new information or maybe was able to be reunited with his child there. But again, we are learning.
Joshua says, how is it near the CDC in the hood? Good question.
During all of this, and I'm asking to see just exactly what that siren was. Did that come from the CDC or was that something that Emory implemented as well? So we'll work to get that information for you, Courtney and Tom.
All right, great reporting there, Eric Perry. One of the first.
Mark Brown says, is the shooter still in the store? The shooter is deceased. Mark, thank you. JDP says, hi, Ganja and Mark.
God that they're safe, but probably anxious to get home to their loved ones and give everyone a big hug. Fox 5's Russ Spencer out in the newsroom collecting more information. Russ, what do you know?
Well, Tom and Courtney, you've done an excellent job recapping how all of this unfolded. I just want to add some perspective from the very beginning of this at 5 o'clock when we had Sky Fox over the scene. He talked about an active.
Joshua says, no, the shooter is deceased. Mark says, good. Terry says, handle your business, prayers up. All right. Hello to Terry from JDP.
Talking about hiding behind that vehicle. Do you see all the bullet holes in the windshield and in the front of that vehicle? That was the confrontation. So as we reflect on this, the active shooter situation is over. Again, the shooter has been.
Not sure if it was self-inflicted, Mark. I don't think they revealed it yet. Mashona says, welcome in and thank you for joining the conversation. Did you remember to hit the like button on your way in? Please like, share, and subscribe and support the channel. Thank you, Mashona.
As we speak, and the civilian for that matter. Tom and Courtney, back to you.
Yeah, you said it, Russ. This could have been so much worse, especially with more students in the area. If this had happened in a
Mashona says, I don't think we heard if it was self-inflicted.
classes would have started for the fall session. So as we continue to learn more details, it'll just paint the picture of maybe what was avoided here. And we are awaiting a news conference that should happen at any moment at the Kroger. And there it is. You can see the setup for it.
Joshua says, what was the shooting and was it more than one shooter? So far, I've only heard of one. Mo says, if you shoot at someone and they shoot and kill you, then that is self-inflicted. I am Mo. Good point.
His or her motives, what led up to all this, and the conditions, most importantly, of the officer.
Especially if it's the police.
Who we understand are both being treated at Emory Hospital. At this time, we're going to take our Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and that's going to be quite an event. So we know our viewers are going to be keyed into that. Meanwhile, we're going to continue to monitor this situation unfolding at Emory because there's still a lot of moving parts and so many unanswered questions.
So many unanswered questions. And of course, if you're a parent like this man that Eric Perry has been talking with, you're just desperate to get reunited with your child. But that's...
Man, Atlanta is a massive place, right? I haven't been there in a while. JDP says, hello, Mo. Nathan says, you beat me to it, Mo. Data says, so it's over? I just got in. No, I don't think it's over yet. The shooter is deceased. Ganja says, you think it has to do with the cuts to the Moderna vaccines and other medicals? I did see that on some other stations. And JDP says, hello to Nathan and Data. Data, the shooter is deceased. JDP said that. Fed Up says, shalom, new here. Gens for Jesus told me about you. Okay, tell Gens for Jesus I said hello.
University Hospital. And again, we're going to continue to stay on top of this situation on Fox Local and on fox5atlanta.com. And again, we will direct you here now to that preseason game, Atlanta Falcons, first preseason game of the season. But if you'd like to continue to follow our coverage of the shooting, you can join us on fox5atlanta.com or Fox Local for your smartphone or smart TV. Thank you so much for being with us.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to check out some other things while we see what develops further with this. Just give me 1 second. Where's everybody from today? Tell us all about it. I know we have a few Texans in the building. This week we've been covering so much when it comes to Texas and the Reed District. Do you guys think you will be dramatically affected by the redistricting? Tell us all about it. We're going to check out a few things. We're going to get back to this incident that occurred. But first, I want to show you guys. Let's see if I have the right video here. All right, here we go.
Both could land him with hefty jail terms, but members of his inner circle are hoping that President Trump will cut them short. Diddy and Trump exchanged mutual declarations of friendship long before the legal case, and the president was reportedly giving serious consideration to a pardon. But Trump now says that Diddy's criticism of his...
So we're going to get back to the shooting here in a few, but right now we're going to cover another point of interest that everybody's concerned with in regards to Sean Diddy Combs. As you know, a lot of the attorneys have been going back and forth, at least the attorneys that have been representing Sean Diddy Combs. And so Nicole Westmoreland, she has been making the circuit. She's been on various channels too. So this is her covering Piers Morgan.
First presidency has made things more complicated. Well, Nicole Westmoreland was a leading member of Diddy's all-star defense team, which delivered what Trump called a sort of victory in court. And she joins me now. Welcome to Uncensored.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm very good. I just wondered where you think you are in terms of what is going to happen in October with the sentencing, because...
All right, so let me give you a little background on it, folks. We've been covering the shooting that happened in Atlanta, Georgia. It appears that there was only one shooter, although I have not heard officially. The shooter was taken out of the CVS, I believe, but there were bullets that went into the CDC, which is not far away. In fact, they said it's across the street, so we're not sure what's going on or what the motive is, but we will be getting back to it. We're going to cover Sean Diddy Combs. And just to give you a little background, Nicole Westmoreland, over to your right, she is one of Sean Diddy Combs' attorneys. She's out of Atlanta, Georgia, ironically. You probably remember her from covering the Young Thug case along with Brian Steele, which was aired on television. But in New York, in most federal cases, they do not allow cameras in the courtroom. So in this particular case, I attended the trial every day for about 8 weeks. And also, I attended the jury selection, which was right before that. So it took quite some time to cover this case. On October the 3rd, Sean Diddy Combs will be sentenced, and who knows how much time he will receive. But this video, we're going to be covering what Nicole Westmoreland has to say about the whole Sean Diddy Combs deal.
Obviously, potentially, Sean Diddy Combs could face a significant period of time in prison. Are you anticipating that, or are you anticipating a more lenient sentence, or are you anticipating that President Trump may still intervene and issue a full pardon?
And what do you guys think? How much time do you think Sean Diddy Combs will end up getting in this particular case? And are there many people here that have been covering the case as well? Tell us all about it. Let's see here. We have a few comments to go through. Oh, wow. We have people here from New Jersey. I'm not far away from you at all. WH Dove says Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, we have some Trump supporters in the building. Joshua says shalom to everybody. Okay, thank you for your kind greetings. Mashona says Ghana J, I'm willing to bet. Answer is yes. Maybe they left the manifesto. Okay, so maybe it was self-inflicted. We'll have to see how that develops. WH Dove says pray for peace and Trump meeting with Putin on Friday in Alaska. Okay, we're going to cover that in a few minutes as well before we get back to what happened with the shooting in Atlanta, Georgia. If we have some people here from Atlanta, Georgia, feel free to come up and tell us if you know some inside information. I'm going to drop the link. If you do come up on stage, please be presentable, folks. We had some bad activity within the last week, and we certainly don't want that again. Jay says, too many government cuts, not enough workers or available jobs. Right. That's the truth. I wonder why that's the case. Do you blame Donald Trump and the new administration, or is there something bigger happening here at play? WH Dove says Sunshine State. Okay. All right. Sharon is from New Jersey. Flores is from South California. I don't think I've been to Southern California before. Ganja says true to Mashona. Okay. Tony is from New Orleans, Louisiana. I was just there probably about 3 months ago. I had a good time. Enjoyed, what do you call the powdered? I can't recall it. Tony, you have to tell us what they're called, but they're very tasty. It's a dessert. JDP says hi to David and also Tony. Joshua says give no pardon to P. Diddy, Mr. President, please. Okay, Joshua thinks that Diddy should go to prison. Okay, thank you very much. Gandra says accountability is just a word at this point. Okay, there's no words backing it, you think? I wonder why that's the case. Tell us how you feel about that. Bordeaux is in the building. Thank you, Bordeaux, for the kind support. No worries for being late. We came on, folks. We came on live to cover the shooting that happened in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's why we're here. And we're taking a little break from that to cover a few points of interest that we were going to cover tonight anyway. Joshua says, P. Diddy is going free. Okay. Thinks Diddy is going to walk free. Why do you think that's the case? Mashona says, I think we all will be based on what changes come overall. On a side note, Texas now requires financial literacy course to graduate high school. Well, that's a good thing. Hopefully they have the mortgage in there, one of the biggest investments of your life, and they really don't cover it enough in schools. She says she thinks it's a good idea. Fed Up Patriot, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. You're in Illinois and not proud of that fact. Why not? Our governor, J.B. Pritzker, has been methodically destroying this state for over 2 decades. Wow. You guys haven't put a different person in office. They must like him. Somebody must have liked him, right? JDP says hi to you, Bordeaux. Okay, let's get back to the video, guys.
Well, we anticipate that on October 3rd, hopefully he'll be coming home.
But in terms of he wouldn't get a prison sentence at all?
We do not think that he should spend another day in jail. Not at all.
But he has been convicted of crimes. People will say, well, why shouldn't he go to jail?
Well, you know, I think that the Mann Act was not meant to cover this type of behavior, number one, and that I think you'll find out very shortly that there is.
Throughout the course of this trial, did you guys think that Diddy would be able to, as they say, beat those 3 major charges? Number 1, racketeering, and then 2 counts of trafficking. Were you guys shocked when that occurred? Tell us why.
No one that we've been able to locate or identify, no case where someone is in jail for the same behavior as Mr. Combs. And so that's not fair, and that's not right.
When the verdict came down, I was actually in the main courtroom, and I remember Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, he made the argument. I guess they did some research, and they discovered that for the charges, the 2 charges that Sean Diddy Combs was left with, that they couldn't find any cases where individuals actually went to jail or was held or did not make bail because of those reasons. In fact, the cases that they did find, the individuals were actually like the pimp. That's what the attorney said. They were actually making money. I think they gave 2 or 3 cases where those individuals were making perhaps even millions of dollars for being in the business and actually profiting from it. But the argument that Diddy's attorney made is that he was the receiver of the prostitution. And so that's the argument they made to say he should go home and that he should not be currently locked up. And in fact, you see that they've applied for bail again, and the judge consistently shuts them down.
Is that actually right? That nobody that you've been able to find has ever been sent to prison for the things that he's been convicted of?
Looks like they want to keep him locked up for that same simple reason of the Mann Act. Fed up, let's see. Joshua says, oh, yeah, Young Thug's case. Yes, she was one of the attorneys on the case, along with Brian Steele. That case was televised on television, I believe, for almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Nathan says they messed up the Diddy trial. He should have spent the rest of his life in prison. Good googly muggly. Wow. Nathan says throw the book at him. JDP says that is a good idea to Mashona. Okay. We'll have to see what that idea was. Ganja says everyone has a different understanding and financial literacy due to the note being used for public and private transactions. Okay, thank you. Okay, Eric is in the building. Hello to Mel, Mashona, Bordeaux. I'm out of town, but happy to join the show. Okay. He tuned in from his vacation. That's awesome. Thank you, Eric. Joshua says James Comey's daughter screwed up the Diddy case on purpose. What was the reason for that? She really, it seemed to me, she was very versed when it came to the trial. She put a lot into it. And I believe she was running point on trying to bring the man down and get him locked away. So why would you say that? I'd like to hear your perspective on that, Joshua. Nathan says 5 to 10 years. Okay, I think there may be some validity to that, Nathan. 5 to 10 years. I think that's what the government is trying to push. JDP says hi to Eric. Eric says he's watching in California. Okay. You're far from home, Eric. You're far from home. Tony says, I think 2 to 3 years or probation with the program. Okay, so just that. Okay, I believe that's what the defense is actually aiming for, 2 to 3 years or less. So you might have a good point there. A lot of people believe that he's just going to get time served and maybe some extended probation. So people are all over the spectrum when it comes to how much time Sean Diddy Combs will get. But Shona says, I don't think Diddy will go home with time served. Okay, so you think he's going to get some time. All right. Joshua says, Diddy shot that guy in the studio 54 years ago and got away with it. Okay. Okay, so he was shot in Studio 54. Okay, but the way it's written, it came across that way. All right, very good. Thank you for that point. I don't believe he was found guilty of that. Cheryl says Diddy won't be pardoned. He would have pardoned him already. I think that's a valid point as well. We showed the video this week how Donald Trump says that he's not going to pardon Diddy because of various things negatively that Diddy had said about him when he was running for president. So Donald Trump has actually been turning his attention to a lot of individuals that have said a lot of negative things about him over the last few years. So Diddy is definitely on that list. All right. Fed Up Patriot says, are you familiar with Bo Polney? He has 2 podcasts, The Lord Helps and God in Silver. I moderate later. Bo is known for numbers and their meanings. Okay, so numerology. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I think that was designed for you, Bordeaux. Cheryl says the news isn't covering what happened in Georgia. They're covering it very, maybe just a little bit. We covered it definitely. So keep tuning in, watching the world. We definitely covered it. Although this week, I think it's the 3rd incident, at least that I'm aware of, where we had some shooting. So I saw a report last week that crime in the United States has gone down, and they were trying to say it's because of the new administration. But if you look at this week, crime is up, folks. It definitely is.
Listen, we've looked long and hard. As you know, the judge sent us on a mission to find cases, and that's due September 1st. But listen, we have not been able to locate a case where anyone is in jail for this type of behavior. And, you know, the DOJ policy manual doesn't even, you know, they say do not prosecute this type of behavior. So, no, we haven't been able to find an individual, not a single one.
In relation to the reports, I saw you on CNN yesterday saying that there had been conversations with the Trump administration. Are you able to say who those conversations were with?
No, I'm not in the weeds on that to that extent. I'm part of the trial team, and right now we're laser focused on preparing for October 3rd.
A lot of people were saying that she
Right, but
backtracked.
it's obviously in the remit of the President of the United States to issue.
A lot of people said that she was backtracking from her previous statement saying that they had asked for a pardon. Do you guys think that that is true in regards to her statements?
A full pardon should he wish to. He's certainly given some slightly ambiguous statements, President Trump, indicating that it's not something he has completely ruled out. But he did make a point of saying that he was aware that despite their previous friendship, that Sean Combs had said some pretty negative things about Trump. I went and did some research and found what those were. In 2017, when Trump had been president in his first year of his first.
I played the video this week of some of the negative things that Sean Diddy Combs has said about Donald Trump. Maybe we'll get a chance to take a look at it again. Cheryl says the news isn't covering what happened in Georgia. Okay. Fed Up Patriot says they are cheating their way in. Okay. Joshua says, I call him J.D. Prickster. Okay. All right. Thank you. Fed Up says, Joshua Tiff, many call him by that title. It is appropriate too. Okay. Very good. Mashona says, I'm from Illinois and ran away to Texas 4 years ago. Which place do you like the most, Mashona? Illinois or Texas? Seem like 2 dramatically different places, so I'd have to hear that. Pablo says bad, all bad. Okay. Pablo also says ugly. Okay. Joshua says, yes, I did. Okay. And JDP says, Cheryl, yes, they are. We just covered it, but we'll be going back to it. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely be going back to the whole shooting that happened in Atlanta, Georgia in a few. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe if you like the material. Joshua is definitely participating heavy tonight. We appreciate it, Joshua. He's rich and had a leftist prosecutor, just like what happened with O.J. Simpson. Okay. So O.J.'s prosecutor was a leftist too. Okay. Thank you for that input, Joshua. Thank you. Moonchild Pink says the judge said the difference is Diddy's violence. I remember that. And actually, after the verdict came through and Diddy's main attorney, Mark Agnifilo, asked for Diddy to be able to go home, at the end of the day, when the judge made his decision, he used the words that Mark Agnifilo had stated during the opening arguments as well as the closing arguments when they said that Diddy definitely did not participate in a RICO, but he was guilty of domestic violence. And that's what the judge used against him to say we can't let Diddy go home because he's guilty of domestic violence and he's a very violent individual. So although that statement about him not being participating in a racketeering, but being violent, maybe that helped him in the larger case. It actually went against him when it came time to him to appeal for or to ask for bail. Moonchild says the judge said the difference is Diddy's violence. Okay, Tony Poor says prosecutor did not have enough evidence for the top charge. Okay, so you think that when it came to racketeering, there was not enough information there to stick. Mishona says, I didn't think we would beat them. I truly think they overlooked some things, but that's only because the feds didn't seem so forceful with the evidence, but that's looking from the outside. But that's a good perspective. I think you make valid points here. Bordo says, sorry, y'all, I'm getting logged in so you can type. Okay. Not sure what happened there. JDP says, you're welcome. All right. We have Nana back here. Thank you for the input. I enjoyed your email as well. Very nice perspective that you have, and thanks for sharing those ideas on the channel. I appreciate that. Tony says the prosecutor did not have enough EB. Okay. Mashona says, welcome in and thanks for joining. We want to hear from you. We just ask that you be respectful to each other and watch your language in the chat and respect YouTube policies. That's so important. Thank you, Mashona. Joshua says, was he charged with sodomy at all? No, he was not charged with that, Joshua. He ended up being charged with prostitution over state lines, basically. That's what it boiled down to. Tony says the prosecutor did not have enough evidence for the top charge. Right, correct. JDP says, LOL, no worries, Bordeaux. Okay, let's get back to the video.
First term, he said to the Daily Beast, to be honest, we don't really give a F about Trump because black people are in the same effed up position. And in October 2020, he told Charlemagne the God, the radio host, that white men like Trump need to be banished. And the number one priority is to get Trump out of office. He said the real way of thinking is real dangerous. This man literally threatened the lives of us and our families about going to vote. We're in a war of love versus hate. The number one priority is to get Trump out of office. You know, if you're Donald Trump, why, if you reread those comments, should you contemplate a potential pardon?
Because you want to do what's right and what's fair, and you're not going to let anything cloud those decision makings. And so, you know,
okay, so I would say from your response that you are quite hopeful that he will get pardoned by Donald Trump.
I think being pardoned would be the right thing to do. So we're hopeful.
It would be an extraordinary thing if he is pardoned. There were many reports, as you know, before the time came for the jury verdict, that he was looking at potentially spending the rest of his life in prison. A lot of the public opinion, I think, was clouded by the horrendous video of him attacking his then girlfriend in a hotel corridor. You have spoken courageously yourself about your own experience with abuse. When you watch that video as a woman, notwithstanding the fact that you've been part of his team, what does that make you feel personally about Sean Diddy Combs in the way that he has been violent towards women?
You know, I know, because I've spent a lot of time speaking with him and I've spent a lot of time with him. I know that he knows that that was wrong. Bottom line, it was wrong. There are no excuses. And I appreciate that he knows that. I feel very confident that nothing similar, anything like that would ever happen again. And I know that it did not take him being arrested. It did not take him being indicted. It didn't take the tape coming out for him to immediately know that he was wrong, immediately be remorseful, and immediately know that he needed some help. And so all the way back then in 2016, right after that situation, Mr. Combs checked himself in and he started getting help. And so that's what I know. And I'm happy that he started getting help and that he knew that and that he's continued to get help. And that's what I know. And that's what I appreciate, that he, you know, he was not sober. He was not sober then. And he has made a decision for himself to get his life together. And he's been doing that. And that's how, you know, that's what I know, and that's how I feel about it.
A lot of people have painted a pretty dark picture of what he was like in that period, that he was, you know, we've all read about the freak-off parties, we've read about the violence, intimidation and so on. Do you genuinely believe he's a reformed character? Some will say...
All right, so what do you guys think? You think that Sean Diddy Combs is a reformed character? What do you think? You think he'll come out and do the same thing over again? What's on your mind? Let's see what people are saying. Mashona says, I feel like when he rubbed the juices on him, that's participating, but that's just my 2 cents. Okay, thank you. JDP says, hi to you, Moon. A. Zimmer says, lock his behind away. We won't use the profanity, folks. JDP says, hello to A. Zimmer. We have a lot of new names here. We appreciate that. Joshua Tiff says, wouldn't P. Diddy be happy in prison since he's a fruit? You know, actually, in court, there was no solid information about him being a fruit, just so you know. That was one of the things that we were looking for to come out in court. Although there was some shaky activity, nothing came out in regards to some of the salacious gossip that you would hear on the internet. All right, so let's finish the video.
You know, lepers don't change their spots, that if he gets out and doesn't have to face any jail time or be held accountable for the things he's been found guilty of, notwithstanding you saying there's no precedent for jailing somebody in that position. They will say that if you put it all together, you've got a guy that behaved pretty badly, who ultimately, if he walks free, will have had no actual genuine accountability. What do you say to people that have that concern?
Well, I think that we need to break that down a little bit, because what was going on and the privacy of his bedroom with his girlfriends, consensual adults, you know, I don't think we should put that in the same category. Now, is he human? Yes. Did he make some mistakes in his life? Absolutely. Is he getting help for those mistakes? Yes. And so I think that we have to look at it, from that perspective, and not start, to say that everything that he did, including, sex with his girlfriends, was something wrong. That's their bedroom.
This was his private life. It wasn't anything other than that. What do you guys think? Do you think she's softening the blow when it comes to the activity that came out in court in regards to Sean Diddy Combs' behavior? Let's see. Tony says, all Cassie dirty laundry came out. All right. Eric Bordeaux says, enjoy your vacation. Fed Up Patriot says, Bordeaux, Sharon is still here. If you begin to type a name, the name pops up. Okay, that's a private message. Cheryl says, when Diddy goes down, all the celebrities will fall like dominoes. Most of them are fleeing the country now. Who are some of the individuals that are fleeing the country? Tell us more. Tell us all about it. Texas says, if he's done wrong by peoples, then take it on the chin. Face the music, pardon the pun, and he'll know what's going on. Okay. Eric says, I think the feds had a good witness with the gentleman that was the drug mule, but once he got on the stand and changed very quickly with his testimony and answers. I actually saw him take the stand. He definitely helped the defense more than he helped the prosecution. I will say that. He basically said that most of the drugs that he was carrying was basically for private use, or in fact, many cases were his own drugs too. Tony says, because if the Epstein files, okay. Falcon says he didn't name names after they are sure to let him go. So, Falcon, as far as your point goes, I think it's very solid because a lot of people think that when it came to the videos that they thought Diddy had, that was the main reason maybe the federal agents came after him, because of similar to Epstein as far as blackmailing. And the fact that, because in court, it came out that they did not find any videos that came from Sean Diddy Combs. The videos that the feds have came from Cassie, and it also came from Jane Doe. So you make a valid point, Falcon, and I understand where you're coming from. They might be just letting them go because he didn't spill the beans. Okay, Cheryl says hi to Bulldogs. Okay. Tony says Epstein files is Trump's focus. I could see that. I think the Epstein files are very cloudy and are bringing him a lot of trouble. Murnell says, I feel she threw the trial also. She was not qualified to try the case. It was so predictable. I told my sister exactly what he would and would not find him guilty of. I just knew it. Can't total. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, Fed Up says it's not numerology, big difference. He shows how the Bible has a lot of comparisons and numbers, and he believes the numbers are there for people to be more aware. We'll have to check that out. Thank you for bringing that up. I definitely will go check it out. Mashona says the news is selective on what they cover, and that's why new media is taking over. Okay, thank you.
Do you believe
do you want the federal government in your bedroom?
Yeah, I was going to say, no, absolutely not. And do you feel that what the trial established was that actually, despite the claims of the people who were making allegations against him, that everything actually the jury determined turned out in their eyes to be consensual? It may not be everyone's cup of tea. It might not be the kind of behavior in a bedroom that some people find acceptable, but it didn't cross the line of being criminal, and it was all consensual.
Absolutely. That's why the jury found him not guilty of sex trafficking. No force, no fraud, no coercion. Those were two grown ladies. They were his girlfriends. And, the jury saw straight through sex trafficking. So, yes, it was consensual and it was not illegal what they were doing, although that may not be what everybody's doing in their bedrooms. Totally understand that. But it was not criminal.
How significant do you think the testimony of the guy the escort who called himself the Punisher was? Because I interviewed him and I believed him. I thought he was very credible, and he certainly painted a very different picture of what had gone on to the way Cassie Ventura had described it. He made it clear that in his eyes, she was the person who organized everything, booked him, paid for it, and seemed very happy about everything, thoroughly enjoyed all their encounters over, I think, a 2-year period. I felt he was both in the court, but also in subsequent interviews, a pretty powerful advocate for your defense.
Agreed. You know, I'll tell you, I really do not know why the government called him, but glad they did. So agree. I think he was powerful, and I think he said a lot. Yeah.
I mean, the irony is he was called for the prosecution, and yet he turned out to be a powerful weapon for you guys.
Agreed.
How is Sean Diddy Combs in himself now? He's been in prison for a sustained period of time. He's not been with his family. He's got a lot of kids. You know, how would you characterize his state of mind?
Wow, this is definitely the hardest situation he's ever been through in his life. You know, I think that he's trying to stay positive. He is trying to continue to fight. He's trying to be a father from jail, which is very hard and very complicated. And so, you know, I think that he's doing a lot of thinking, and he's continuing to work on himself, and you know, he's still trying to be a parent and, you know, just get his life together. But this is definitely, this is the hardest thing he's been through in his life, and I think that he's taking it a day at a time.
Were you surprised that a federal judge on Monday denied the motion to allow him to be released on bail? The prosecutors argued he was a flight risk and a danger. The judge said that you guys had failed to show sufficient evidence to counter the argument that he's a flight risk. But on the danger point, there was a letter from his ex-girlfriend, Virginia Huyn, to the judge, urging his release, saying he didn't represent a danger. Were you surprised, given all that he wasn't allowed out?
You know, I think that the judge made his decision. You know, what I really take issue with is the prosecution. I take issue with the prosecution bringing this case in the first place. So I think the judge, you know, made whatever decision that he felt like he needed to. But I think that the real issue is the prosecution having this type of discretion and being able to engage in selective prosecution and targeted prosecution and you know, to have that type of power. I think that's the real issue.
I just want to play again. This is the actual clip of Donald Trump talking about the possibility of a pardon.
You know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well, but when I ran for office, he was very hostile. He made some terrible statements. So I don't know. It's more difficult. It makes it more. I'm being honest. It makes it.
So it seemed that Donald Trump would not pardon Diddy at all. Guys, we're going to get back to this shooting. We're going to go back through it and see what really happened. Just setting that up. Please bear with me, trying to set this up in a way that's easy to view. Murnell says she did not have the case put together well enough. She was all over the place. Okay, thank you, Tony, for the super chat. That's awfully kind of you. Thank you for the support in the channel. A. Zimmer says absolutely no pardon for Diddy the Freak. Okay, Mashona says, Tony, thank you for the super chat. Yes, indeed, that's awesome. Mashona says Texas is what I like best. Okay, so instead of Illinois. Okay, I came out of Virginia and I live in New York now, and I definitely like New York more than I like Virginia. but it's still the place that has my heart because that's where I grew up at. Mashona says, we'll have to get lunch or something, Eric. Okay, great. You guys link up. Nana says, I hope they don't let him out. Okay, so we're going to make an attempt to get back to the video. Let's see if we can be successful here. Let's see what we have. Okay. All right. Hopefully we have sound, folks. Please confirm. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear the video. Shout out to you, Gold Digger. So this is the actual scene of the shooting in Atlanta, Georgia, folks. Okay, Bordeaux says you guys can hear it. Yeah, that's the actual sound from the video, that strange beeping. Thank you, Face, for being here as well. Thank you guys for the support. Trina, thanks for being here as well. Sweets, John. One Love says upstate New York is Canada, not New York. That's a good one. So we see they had a massive police presence. Yes, the shooter is deceased. The shooter is deceased, guys.
We've told you what we know so far. This began around 5 o'clock this afternoon. One of our colleagues heard what, from his experience, sounded like as many as 10 shots from a semi-automatic rifle. We do not know if police have exchanged gunfire with anyone, but we do know, again, at the risk of being repetitive, that one of those DeKalb County police vehicles has been pierced by many, many bullets.
Right now, Clifton Road to Haygood to Briarcliff is all closed.
Okay.
according to
Clifton Road to Haygood to Briarcliff, all closed at this moment. Briarcliff, the main artery, and Fox 5 Atlanta.
This company is going viral for its new process that gives you permanent teeth in just 24 hours.
Yeah,
police right there on the sidewalk, and as you point out, they've gone into that CVS, but this does not seem to be over at this point. What's your interpretation?
And it is noteworthy and a relevant observation that you made, Russ, about the sort of the posture of these officers out on the street. 1 minute you kind of see them standing behind their vehicles. Something's rolling there on the road, and I don't know what it is, as Skyfox 5 kind of pans around and gives us some perspective of this scene. And then what's going on inside that CVS after the line of officers entered there.
Also, other businesses in that area surrounding that CVS, so no telling what efforts police may have had to make to try to clear that out and ensure that no one is in harm's way as they try to deal with whatever situation. Also looking here at the academic calendar for Emory, it looks like most students have not started classes yet. It looks like that starts mostly later this month. So perhaps one good thing is that it's not as crowded as it would be if school was in session right now.
So, and this CVS location.
Some people are saying the white car may have belonged to the shooter, the white car by the building.
Again, heavily guarded, very fenced in, surveillance cameras everywhere. And then across the street, across Clifton Road, is the CVS kind of there in the corner. And then on top are residential apartments where folks from, Emory University and the surrounding area live, as well as retail shops. Don't know about the residents in their apartment units there, whether they were able to evacuate or they were also given a shelter-in-place order while police try to resolve the situation. That
So Faith says that there's also in Toledo, Ohio, a bank robbery standoff going on as well. Wow.
As we continue to look live here from Skyfox 5, the DeKalb County police officers staging there on Clifton Road, which is kind of a steep uphill as you approach the CVS. Russ, I'm wondering if you can glean any kind of information, if you will, on what's happening down there on the roadway. You said they have that whole section of Clifton shut down as they try to get to the bottom of the situation.
Yeah, I've been consulting with our news desk, and we're trying to get the latest information from the scene. We've just been told, as I reported earlier, that the FBI and APD have joined DeKalb on the scene, part of the dozens of officers that we see there. Clifton Road closed, obviously, in both directions. We see the phalanx of police there on the south side. Let me get my bearings correct. That would be actually the north side of what's happening. And then on the south side, more toward Emory University, there is another huge collection of police vehicles, some of which have been shot at by someone beginning around 5 o'clock this afternoon. We heard the gunshots. I didn't hear them specifically, but one of our colleagues, Rick Snyder, who joined us earlier in the newscast, described having heard at least 10 shots from a long gun.
One Love says he'll check it in another week when the truth comes out. Okay.
And in the last 10 minutes, we've seen police officers enter a CVS there.
Nana says she's about 40 minutes from Toledo, Ohio. She's going to look into it.
That it was at the CVS. We don't have specific confirmation of that at this point, but we have been told that one DeKalb County police officer has been shot. We don't know that officer's condition at this point, but this clearly seems to be an active circumstance, and yet we're watching.
So a police officer was shot too?
In a way that would seem to put them in harm's way. Are we looking at someone carrying a stretcher? Is that what you see right there? That
looks
yellow
like,
in the
yeah,
middle of the
one of the boards where you would secure somebody
board, yeah.
if they endured some kind of cervical or spine trauma. We'll have to get to the bottom of what's happening there. right down the road, just for geographical perspective, is Emory University Hospital, which I imagine has also been placed on high alert for folks coming in and out of there. Good news is, if anybody has been injured, you are probably less than a quarter of a mile away from Emory University Hospital and the emergency room there. So medical attention not far away. As we watch this happening, and maybe in the control room we can do a big little box where we can keep this up, but play some sound of the immediate response to what happened here. Let's roll that video.
So you heard that.
What you're hearing there is sirens going off just after that alert went out, sent by Emory University, saying that there was an active shooter located near the campus and to run, hide, fight. This all unfolded, and we're seeing a huge police presence centered around the CVS store located at Emory Point, which is located just across.
So they said run, hide, and fight.
The CDC headquarters. And in the last half hour or so, as we've been on the air here, we have seen that large police presence continue to center around this CVS. And it looks like many of them have gone into the building now, some of them carrying a sort of a stretcher. We understand one DeKalb County police officer has been shot. We don't know the condition of that person right now. But again, it's been outlined that they are quite close to Emory University Hospital, so unclear whether they're trying to transport that person now to get care.
Yeah, on that note, we have Fox 5's Kim Luffler, who's standing by at Grady.
Mark says they've let anybody in the country.
Our area where gunshot victims are taken for treatment. Kim, what can you tell us about what you're seeing there and the response over at Grady right now?
Well, in about the last 2 or 3 minutes, we saw several officers start to kind of come out of right outside of Grady here. Almost looks like they are waiting for an ambulance to arrive. We've seen several ambulances come, none with their lights on just yet. We've been kind of watching to see if anyone would be coming over here to Grady. And again, just in the last few minutes, we have seen these officers come out here again, waiting. It appears that they're waiting for an ambulance to arrive. We have not seen any come at this point, but we certainly keep our eye out. But again, it does look like they are waiting at this point for someone to come here.
Okay, Kim, thanks. Keep us posted with what you're seeing there at Grady. As we take a look at live.
Looks like there's a lot of fluid coming out of the police car, so there must have been some major exchange of bullets.
We understand that one of the vehicles of DeKalb County Police was struck and riddled with gunfire, indicating that the shooting suspect may have been training their rifles at police, because now we know that one officer has been shot. Where that officer is being treated, whether they're at Emory University or being transported to Grady Memorial Hospital, we still don't know. But this has been an extremely active situation with a lot of moving parts.
That is for sure. We understand at this hour, at least Clifton Road has been shut down. You see, there's no traffic getting through.
Mr. D said they voted for Kamala. They had this coming.
But it does appear Clifton Road is still closed. Our assignment desk is still working to let us know exactly which streets are shut down. But at one point, we were hearing that there were more streets shut down as they form a sort of perimeter around that area. So when we get those exact streets, we'll let you know on that.
Let's get out to Fox 5's Russ Spencer in the newsroom.
All right. Reverend Green said it was a white male. All right. This is what Reverend Green is saying. Okay. Nakia is here. Welcome in. Nice to have you.
We're hearing lots of radio traffic, Courtney and Tom, and we're not going to report things that we haven't yet confirmed, but it does appear that things on the scene have changed somewhat. And we heard Kim say that they're expecting some people to arrive, someone to arrive at Grady Memorial Hospital, at least one person. We'll see what happens as this circumstance develops. I'm going to share with you a safety alert from the City of Atlanta Police Department that I guess at this point states the obvious, but I'll read it to you. The Atlanta Police Department is responding to reports of an active shooter in the area of Emory University near 1760 Clifton Road. please avoid that area. So as you have both pointed out, Clifton Road blocked in both directions. Police cars there in the foreground.
Kevin says Center of Disease Control, they're stealing the files and destroying them. Damn Democrats.
And those police officers do not appear to be taking cover at this point. We're going to find out perhaps in short order why that is the case. But this is a wider picture from Sky Fox 5, give you a sense of where we are here in Northeast Atlanta.
To the core says MD must be disillusioned. What the F has voting to do with anything?
CDC, as we go out to our cars, at the end of the day, we can see the CDC building right there, and it's on the.
Okay, Reverend Green says the mayor of Atlanta held a press conference, mentioned the race of a deceased shooter as being a white male. Okay.
The CDC. All right, now what we're looking at is pictures from earlier. I described to you when police were on the scene. This is the police car that was riddled with the bullets. This is earlier video from probably 15, 20 minutes ago. So I don't want you to be thinking that we're looking at live pictures again. Our chopper has to go refuel. That is something that they have to do, and that's what they're doing right now. But this gives you a sense of what it looked like about 15 or 20 minutes ago when police were taking cover behind that DeKalb County police SUV and cover behind that dumpster.
Yes, indeed. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Bodo.
Now, I can't tell you that it's no longer an active shooter situation.
Not so happy in Atlanta, Georgia, but happy Friday.
In that respect. And when we have confirmation about that, we're going to certainly report it to you, Tom.
Yeah, you know, Russ, if you hang with us 1 second, we always, in these types of situations, wonder about the why and why this is happening at this particular CVS in this particular area, located right across the street from such a high-profile building like the Centers for Disease Control.
One Love says on another note, who knew Monica Lewinsky's book publicist was Tucker Carlson's father, a former CIA agent? Thank you, One Love. Thanks for the continued support.
Imagine being able to build anything, for any reason, in any style.
Shot. And now we're seeing quite a bit of activity there at Grady. Obviously, a rush to get that officer the care they need, and unclear what kind of condition that person may be in. But you can just tell from the urgency and the number of police there on scene that it is a serious, potentially serious situation.
All right, we understand not only an officer transported to Grady Hospital, but also another possible victim. And our Kim Loeffler is standing by witnessing all of this. Kim, what more can you tell us about who is arriving there?
Well, I just spoke with one of the officers that we saw out here on scene, and he confirmed with us that the officer who was hit over by the location, by our station over by the CDC, is coming here to Grady. He also said that there was another person who was also hit. We don't know the extent of those injuries right now, but it does appear that the other person, at least with the information that we have right now, is a civilian.
In Toledo, Ohio, Nana says they say the bank robber may have had a bomb. No one is confirming it, though.
Arrived at this point. Of course, we'll keep you updated, but that officer, we're told, is coming here to Grady.
All right.
Thank you, Nana, for the report.
Officer is transported to Grady after being shot. A huge police presence from multiple jurisdictions show up there. Have you seen any other police activity?
Well, we have been here for the two MARTA police officers.
According to Reverend Green, the individual in Ohio was a white male, too.
I see Clayton County Sheriff's vehicle there. I know that vehicle has been here with us throughout the day, and we just saw a couple of other officers, again, in the last 15, 20 minutes or so, kind of come out. Waiting outside of Grady here, waiting for the ambulance to arrive. But again, that's only been the last 15, 20 minutes that we have seen them here on scene, but there has been a police presence here all day because of those two other officers who were injured in the shooting last night.
All right, Fox 5's Kim Loeffler monitoring the situation over at Grady, where we understand that at least one police officer and a civilian victim are being transported after gunshots ring out at the CVS right across the street from the Centers for Disease Control. This is the scene right now at Emory Point CVS, where multiple police vehicles there are on the roadway. That whole corridor, that Clifton Road corridor.
Wow, look at all the police.
Roadway, because Emory University Hospital and the CDC are right there. And this all would have happened right at the time when employees of the CVS were CDC were probably letting out after work today.
Yeah, around 5 o'clock. Let's get out to our Eric Perry, who has just arrived there live at the scene. Eric, a lot of activity happening there right now. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Courtney, Tom, hello to both of you. So this is as far as that I can get, but I am going to take my camera around. Take a look at the amount of law enforcement. This is, of course, heading up toward the CDC. There is a personal care home to my left of me, but all you can see is a sea of blue heading up this direction. You have cars from all over. As I was driving in from Midtown Atlanta, I'm going to move out the way as some more people are coming through there. You can see Gwinnett County Police. I see Atlanta Police. Of course, the cab is here as well. When I was coming in, I saw Sandy.
Yeah, that's right, Reverend Green. Atlanta traffic is terrible, probably extremely volatile tonight.
Went up not too long ago from here. And if I turn back this direction, of course, you can just see how many police officers and law enforcement vehicles are racing down through here.
Eric says Atlanta has the worst traffic in the nation. I would second that emotion.
And then this is the road that's coming down, heading toward the CDC as well. And then just off this path as well, just a sea of blue as well. As my photographer is closer or further up that hill, closer to where that initial scene is. But unfortunately, this is as far as I can get as they're working to get law enforcement officers up through.
For those of you just coming in, thank you for the likes, the share, and subscriptions. We're covering the shooting that occurred earlier today, this evening in Atlanta, Georgia, at a CVS. Also, bullets hit the CDC, and it was next door to the university.
Presence that I've seen in my near decade of reporting.
All right, Eric Perry live there. So, Eric, if you're still with us and you can hear us, tell me about the demeanor of these officers. Of course, we all want to know if the situation has been resolved yet, something we don't know or have not confirmed. But what are you getting in terms of the demeanor of those officers and whether this might be over or not?
You know, when I first pulled in about 10 minutes ago, absolute serious. Cars were racing in. They were getting out with their guns, and then they were running up this hill to go to the scene that's up there as well. My friend here in DeKalb County wouldn't let me go any further as well. I tried to get up there as well, but he just didn't know the situation. And of course, that just goes to the severity and the seriousness of all of this. Right now, I don't see much movement, but I do see more officers slowly starting to trickle in here. But about 5 to 10 minutes ago, it was all hands on deck as they were running up. There was some sort of a siren that I heard. It sounded like an alarm that sounded off, and we saw a force moving toward that scene closer. I'm not sure exactly what that was, if that was an all clear, but I have been told that there have been several command units, of course, a major scene like this, several command units as well that was going up through there as well. So it seems to have leveled out just a little bit, but of course, still very serious.
Yeah, and Eric, as you made your way to that area, in terms of the traffic situation, did you encounter a lot of roadblocks and did you see a lot of people that were maybe having trouble traveling throughout the area as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, it is Atlanta. So there is traffic even in the smallest or latest of hours. But I'm going to point this direction as well, because, of course, people were taking that right down as well. And there were just so many law enforcement officers that were making.
Shirley Wells said she lived outside of Atlanta, had to go there quite often. Must have been a lot of traffic.
A pretty popular barbecue spot that is closer up there to that QT. Officers are parked all the way up there. To the left is that Kroger. I saw some parked over there as well. And then if you look to the right here, you can see just the amount of police officers, or the sea.
Eric says he's from LA. Eric, are you visiting home while you're in California?
To come in as well. So if you are in this area of DeKalb County right here, you need to avoid it. There were so many traffic, and they're still going to be coming in and out. And again, I saw about 3 Grady ambulances making their way up through there around 5 o'clock, and that was a priority.
Nana says she was born and raised in Detroit, moved to the country with the husband and kids in 2003. Okay, Gold Digger says that is pretty bad. Then you got to give yourself at least 2 to 3 hours grace time to get to many places on time if traveling and through LA. You mean to tell me the traffic in LA is bad too?
Who kind of witnessed through earshot, Russ, right in the back of our parking lot, which butts up to this entire area, exactly what happened. But as I toss out to you, what a remarkable scene to see from Briarcliff Road on Clifton all the way up to that CVS and the CDC lined with police vehicles.
Someone speaking in.
Okay, guys. Eric is in San Francisco going to the baseball game tomorrow. Okay. Giants baseball.
A little bit what has happened. It's 5:45. This began about 45 minutes ago. One of our colleagues here at Fox 5 walked out.
Okay, reporter Fates Karma says something else crazy going on is the Senator of Utah changed the consent law after his adult relative was caught with a 13-year-old. The world is gone mad. This is crazy. Wow. Thank you.
Building, breathless, knowing that something terrible was happening somewhere. Now, our initial assumption that we did not report, because we don't report assumptions, but everyone was afraid that perhaps because of some of the politics surrounding the CDC, that perhaps this was happening at the CDC itself. It became very clear within a short amount of time that, in fact, it was at the CVS across Clifton Road, right across the street from the entrance to the CDC. And we saw police officers from Sky Fox 5 huddled behind a DeKalb County Police SUV that had been riddled with bullets. Apparently, we don't know whether that is particularly the scene where an officer was shot, but we do know that an officer was shot and is arriving at Grady. And I'm going to turn it over now to Fox 5's Kim Luffler, who's at Grady, if we can do that technically, because what I've been told is that Kim has some new information about that officer. Is that right, Kim?
We just spoke with some of the public safety officials here on, and we're told that the officer was loaded into the ambulance over by the CDC. The officer told me that information a little over 5 minutes ago, and we're told that the officer is coming here to Grady for treatment. So we expect the officer to arrive here in probably around 20 minutes or so. But that public safety official also told me that in addition to that officer, there is another person hit. It does appear that that is a civilian, but that is unconfirmed right now. It did not appear that it was another officer, just another person who was hit. But again, we have learned that the officer has been loaded into the ambulance, and we do expect that officer to arrive here in about the next 15 minutes or so.
All right, Kim, thanks very much. Tom has pointed out that Emory University Hospital is right down the street. Grady Memorial Hospital is a level 1 trauma center. Read into that what you will. We don't know anything about the condition of the officer at this point, and we'll report it to you as soon as we do. But at this point, Clifton Road is obviously closed and will remain closed for quite some time as this active shooter situation continues. We saw DeKalb Police, Atlanta Police enter that CVS. We don't know what happened inside there. We're working our sources to try to get that confirmed. But again, look at this enormous police presence. Eric Perry made the point, and I'll echo it. It's been a long time since I've seen that many police officers in one place at one time. A crime scene tape all over the place there on Clifton Road. The FBI also on the scene. And again, just to emphasize, one officer, a DeKalb County officer, has been shot, and apparently a civilian as well. Tom and Courtney, back to you. As soon as we have any new information from the desk, I'm going to walk over there now, and I'll share it with you as soon as I have anything new.
All right, we'll see you in a bit, Russ. Thanks. As we continue to focus here on the scene centered around this Emory Point CVS, we're now getting this up.
Okay, Robert Green says, I don't believe this lone wolf storyline. What do you guys think?
Now, this is still an active scene. So take from that what you will, but the very large police presence there. Urgent as they were when we saw them closer to the top of the hour. But still, there is a large police presence there. So Atlanta police referring to it as an active scene. Don't know if that means that this is still ongoing.
Okay, Shirley says that she's been to the CVS that this incident happened at. Wow.
Where we saw officers with their rifles drawn, lined up, entering that store not too long ago is concluded. But not lost on all of this is the location.
That's a lot of police officers.
It's a very, very high-profile location, not only with one of the country's largest universities and hospitals sitting right down the street, but you have the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention directly across the street from where all of this is going on.
Hey, welcome back, Lisa. Lisa says, since this man came in office, it's been nothing but chaos.
So, you know, one can only be grateful, perhaps, if something like this is to unfold, that a police response would be robust and quick. Now, again, whether or not they've resolved the situation, we're just speculating at this point. You could see it's still a very active scene with police and emergency vehicles, fire trucks, and ambulances lined up all the way. And if you're familiar with the area, Briarcliff Road and North Druid Hills and
Michonne says, welcome in, everyone, and thanks for joining the conversation. Did you remember to hit the like button on your way in? Please like, share, and subscribe if you like the material. All right, NC says, what's going on? We're covering the shooting tonight in Atlanta, Georgia at the CVS. I think that's where they retrieved the gunman. Bullets also hit the CDC, which is across the street. There's also a university next door. Not sure how many people were totally affected, but at least an officer and another civilian were hit.
You see on Clifton Road, focus there, and now we're getting just a closer up view. That is a look at some of the police officers that are there at the entrance to the CVS. And again, unclear whether this is still, the Atlanta police are referring to this as still an active scene. It looks active in terms of the number of law enforcement that are still there, but we're not sure what that means in terms of whether this is just an effort to get the injured officer and that civilian to the hospital, or if there's still some kind of threat that needs to be neutralized.
Let's get out to Fox 5's Russ Spencer, who, as we speak, it sounds like, Russ, you're getting some more information for us. What more do you know?
Yes, it's partial information, Tom and Courtney. What we know at this point is that someone on the scene has died. We do not know who that person is, but we have seen a body pulled out of that CVS. We saw this from Skyfox 5. We have video.
It seems the body pulled out was the shooter. Hello to you, Sharon Harrison. Thank you and welcome. Thanks for joining. We appreciate your support.
Perhaps from the distance, but we have seen a person's body pulled out of the CVS there at the corner at Clifton Road, just across the street from the CDC, and it is now under a sheet. And the police officers who were protecting themselves behind the dumpster and taking cover in the parking lot across the street are now standing there. So I cannot report to you that this situation, this active shooter situation, is over, but just assessing the behavior of the police officers, it would seem to the circumstances there have changed on the scene. Eric Perry is there. Eric, what can you tell us from your vantage point?
Hey, Russ, so you're not going to see my face. I'm going to work my camera around because this is as far as police will allow me to go. You made a very good point earlier. I just want to kind of show you from Clifton Road all the way up to Briarcliff Road is just a sea and a line of lights. As more police officers, more law enforcement are coming down. About 10 minutes ago,
look at all the response.
Ambulances heading up to that direction, that CVS, which is right across from the CDC campus, and the entranceway, that main entrance is just over that hill. You can also see, I'm seeing that express bus, which probably just running a routine route, was trapped here. And that just kind of goes to show just how.
Bordo says, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to find us again later.
In this intersection right here as well, but we're also starting to see some officers going, some are still coming back. You see some people who were just over here at the time, they tell me that they didn't really see or hear anything, but of course this is as far as that they can go, and their destination is up that hill. You can see those helicopters, one of them law enforcement, I'm assuming, just very low to the ground here. I saw that as I was.
To Atlanta police, an active shooter situation. when we have confirmation that it has changed, we will pass it on to you. Tom, I have one last thing here I want to pass on to you from, okay. The officer apparently has been moved to the operating room. That is the latest that we've been told. The officer taken to Grady Memorial Hospital, and Emory University Hospital. I apologize. And we will keep you up to date as soon as we have information on that officer's condition, and we understand one other person has been shot. Let's toss now to Kim Luffler. She's at Grady Memorial Hospital. Kim, what can you tell us there?
Well, we just learned from Emory officials that that officer was taken, as you mentioned, to Emory University Hospital. We're still waiting. We still have not seen any ambulances arrive at this point. We are still seeing some law enforcement presence, some public safety presence outside of Grady right now. But we are still waiting for ambulances to arrive. But again, we have learned that that officer was taken to Emory University Hospital for treatment.
All right, Kim, thank you very much. Again, this is happening at Emory Point on Clifton Road, which is closed in both directions. Tom and Courtney, I'll send it back to you and go back over to the desk myself. Try to get some new information and share it with you as soon as we do.
All right, Russ, thanks for the latest from where you are in our newsroom. Literal eyewitness accounts here at the television station. Our parking lot backs up to this area, so it's only a stone's throw away. Our marketing director, Rick Snyder, going out to his car, hearing those gunshots coming from that area. It makes sense that these shooting victims would be brought to Emory. It's less than a quarter a mile away from the scene. Literally, you could walk it from that CVS over to the emergency room.
Of course, the proximity makes so much sense, even with Grady Memorial being the level 1 trauma center where you would normally be transported. We're still seeing pictures, so much sense, even with Grady Memorial being the level 1 trauma center where you would normally be transported. We're still seeing pictures here live from the ground. You're just seeing that absolutely massive police presence still there. Our Eric Perry is bringing us some of these pictures. We've also got photographer there on the scene, and just detailing the amount of people that have converged there, even as that officer is transported. Just so many questions still unanswered as the situation continues to.
Okay, Lisa says we have to get these Republicans out of office. You better vote blue. After that, we can settle our differences later.
That was when we started to get the reports about the shots fired, and then you saw just a huge amount of law enforcement start to focus around the CVS building. Now we're hearing sirens go off, and it's unclear why. We had heard sirens go off also just after 5 when this situation first started. So it's not.
Well, the sirens are going off. Starboy says prophecy of popes by Malachi, tribulation soon, amen, and hugs.
Us about what we're hearing out there.
Welcome, Starboy.
Let's take a pause. Take a listen to this. There is a siren that I mentioned earlier. It went off again, and then when that goes off, I see law enforcement starting to move up. And then you asked if there was still a presence or people coming in. Well, probably about 5 minutes ago, that DeKalb police SWAT vehicle pulled up as well. See some people starting to get off. This is a drone team that I've learned. It looks like they're with the fire department. I saw a drone go up and go over the scene as well. We've seen some helicopters flying very, very low. I'm still very curious, and I'll ask around about that siren. Not sure if that's something on the campus of CDC or Emory or what have you, but you can hear that siren very loudly. And this is the second time since I've been here we can hear that type of siren. And then also you can see that DeKalb police SWAT vehicle that just pulled up as well. And again, just an immense presence as you can see. This is going up to Briarcliff Road, if you're familiar where that barbecue spot is, Pig and Chick. And then there's a QT on the other side as well here. And then just still an immense presence as people are coming in and going out. And that siren is lasting longer than the last time as well. And I can see some other officers running up to the scene as well. Courtney, Tom.
Yeah, perhaps indicating, Eric, that this situation isn't over because, as you said, that siren is wailing much longer than the first one, which initially alerted us. We can hear that siren here in our studio.
Every time I hit a bottleneck, I build a new AI employee to crush it.
I used to say that I had one AI employee working
The scene and why our marketing director was able to hear those long gunshots go off when this whole thing unfolded just before 5 o'clock this evening, right when that CDC campus would have been letting out for the evening, those 9-to-5ers who work there. Obviously, it's a 24-hour operation. But just to kind of set the scene for you there, as we're looking live from.
All right, Kristen says, problem is voting blue. The nation spoke. We want Trump.
Middle and the top of your screen, the entrance to the drugstore there, and directly across the street from the CDC, the entrance of which is right across the street.
Welcome, Kristen. Nice to have you here. Thanks for stopping in.
Their guns drawn, enter that drugstore. We've seen them staged there on Clifton Road, which is shut down and lined with a sea of officers. And we have unconfirmed reporting now, though visual reporting from what we've seen from Skyfox 5 of a body being brought out of the CDC, covered in a sheet. Who that individual is, we just don't know.
Yeah, don't know, but we're working.
Must be the shooter's car. All right, Lisa says, yeah, you want Trump because you are down with white supremacy. Okay. Mariana says, I said the problem is voting blue. Bordeaux says, sound like duel up. And Reverend Green says, Morse code.
On television, but we have a picture from inside the CDC of a broken window that had been shot at. Now, it raises the possibility that perhaps the CDC was one of the targets of what happened this afternoon that began about an hour ago here in Northeast Atlanta. Perhaps it was a stray bullet, but the CDC was shot at. We have pictures of the bullet holes from inside the building showing the workspace area and the window that had been broken by that gunshot this afternoon at the CDC. So what we have reported is that this was located primarily at the CVS. Whether the shooter was standing on the sidewalk there and fired in the direction of the
Nana says, red in the office now. Crime is on the rise.
county police car that was riddled with bullets. That was sort of down the hill.
Mariana says, no race car needed. Please stop.
Where this building that was hit is located. That's more actually from the shooter's perspective would have been to the left across Clifton Road. So some of this is supposition. So I take that for what it's worth. But what we do know, and we'll show you the picture as soon as we have it produced here and are prepared to put it on TV, is that a window was pierced by a bullet at the CDC this afternoon. That's the new information.
Yeah. And so we talked about, Russ, just the proximity of these high-profile institutions across the street from the CVS, which you and I and Courtney and frankly everyone in this building has probably been in.
Welcome, Rita. Everyone's going crazy, according to Rita. Thank you. David says, do you know what kind of couch can't get pregnant? Not sure. Tell us what it is. Oh, a pull-out couch. Okay, thank you for the joke. Reverend Green says, race is lucrative. Be competitive. Mariana says, red didn't open the borders to crime. Blue did. Okay.
Or whether, as you say, it was possibly an intended target, but just that information is just not known at this hour.
Eric says, great show again, Mel. Salute. Salute to you too, Eric. Bring us back some clam chowder from California.
The CVS drugstore there on the left side of the road, and then the CDC right across the street, and the police vehicles there.
What I think says, get rid of Kennedy. as soon as possible.
On the scene where all of this unfolded.
Yeah, and also just to put a finer point on it, you're not seeing it there in the picture from Sky Fox 5, but just above where you're seeing the picture cut off. To the right-hand side across Clifton Road from the CVS entrance there is actually a daycare center.
Lisa Murray says, if the race card is not needed, so what it's looked like, what he did in the Pentagon to all of the black heroes off the wall. David says, don't listen to the haters. Thanks for reading all the chat. Thank you. Mariana says, California is on fire. No clams. Oh, Rita says, but we all need more of his prayers. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Rita. Thanks for bringing some spirituality in the building. Magnum says, justice for the PDF Trump young victims. Okay. All right. Eric says, I got you, Mel. All right. And the sourdough bread. You got to have that sourdough bread.
Sponsored assisted living and recovery centers where folks are. And of course, you have the massive hospital. These are pictures, we believe, of the CDC window.
Guys, JDP says, please refrain from using all caps. It appears as though you're screaming or yelling.
And speculate that these are bulletproof windows. But look at the shatter in that window, if you will.
Yeah, very scary. It looks like those are cubicles located right next to where the bullet hole is in the glass there. And it looks like
Reverend Green thinks those are 50 cal bullets that came through the window. David says, you have a cool demeanor. Thank you. Appreciate that. Nana says, definitely need to pray. Lots of prayers. Bordeaux says, nice of you, David.
It would not have hit that building at that altitude. It wouldn't seem.
yeah, and it would take a certain type of firearm to reach a level that is above the ground floor and that kind of impact. So.
Yeah, and so some extraordinary visuals here of the impact that an alleged bullet from a right.
Lisa says, I believe in God, but we cannot rely on him all the time. We have to do it ourselves. Okay, Mariana says, power of prayer, everyone.
Looks like it's kind of high above the scene where all of this happened. As we continue our coverage of the shooting at the CVS drugstore on Clifton Road across from the Centers for Disease Control, this photo just into the Fox 5 newsroom of an impact of a bullet at the window of the CDC. We know there has been at least one fatality here, a body carried out of the CVS drugstore, which we saw just a short time ago, and police activity, which has not let up, by the way. This has been a solid hour and 10 or 15 minutes or so police activity along the Clifton Road corridor from Briarcliff Road all the way, you can imagine, to just about the Emory University complex. And then if you're familiar with this area.
Eric says, all night prayer chain is always needed.
There, and then it kind of unfolds to the old children's hospital and then the main hospital of Emory Healthcare.
Yeah, and we understand both Emory University and Emory University Hospital have been placed on lockdown as this is all unfolding. I wouldn't be surprised if those lockdowns extend to other buildings within this area. There are retail stores, restaurants.
So they have the buildings on lockdown. Bordeaux says, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Please hit the like button for us. All opinions are welcome. Please be respectful with your words in the chat. Thank you.
Several other roads in the area also. We also saw on our air in the last hour a car belonging to DeKalb police that had been looked like had been shot and was leaking fluids from the car.
David said, tomatoes are looking awesome here in Michigan.
Also around the entrance, they were hiding behind a dumpster at one point. And then we reported that a body had been removed from the CVS building in the last half hour or so.
And I don't know if Sky Fox 5 can hear us. There was a white vehicle in front of the CVS that had all doors and the trunks open, wondering if that was somehow related to this scene right at the entrance, Sky Fox. If you can pan up a little bit. Yes, there it is. This was a white vehicle that I noticed earlier. The hood open, doors open. You know, speculation at this point whether that might be related to the scene or not. We're being really discreet with our live pictures here just based on what we've seen coming out of that.
Well, Bordeaux says she has bell peppers and squash. That's to you, David. Rita says, do they know how many shooters? This is heartbreaking. It seems like it's more and more of this happening in this country, more than other countries. I think it's very, and it's cut off. Okay.
Were impacted or how they were told to keep themselves safe. We just don't know at this hour. But the latest reporting is, and we're wondering, since Grady Memorial Hospital is a level 1 trauma center, if the shooting victims, which we know are at least one police officer and at least one civilian victim, were going to be transported to Grady Memorial Hospital. But with Emory University only feet away, the emergency room there, it just made more sense for emergency responders to transport those victims there. One is in surgery, we understand. We presume it's the DeKalb County police officer who was shot, and we're working to learn more about.
So the police officer was shot and is in surgery.
Presence from the FBI there on scene, and they just released this statement saying that they're aware of the incident and are coordinating with their local partners for any assistance. So just underscoring how big this police presence really is. Let's get out to our Eric Perry. He's been there on the ground. Eric, what can you tell us as this situation continues to develop?
Yeah, since the last time I talked, Courtney, Tom, hello to both of you. I've seen FBI presence here on the scene walking up as well. I've also seen just still the same in and out Georgia State Patrol. I've seen Pine Lakes Police Department, Chamblee. You can see there's a little canine as well here on the scene that's walking down from this as well. They're still holding us here, but you can still see an immense presence. This is stretching all the way up to Briarcliff. Tom, I believe you mentioned that nursing facility, and I believe that is what is to the right of me here as well. So there's several offices and different things associated with Emory right here, the 1817 building here on Clifton. And again, we can hear helicopters that sound very.
If you want to drop your auto insurance rate, then don't skip this video. Take a look. I've removed my personal info, guys.
Been here on the scene, you can still see officers coming in and out, and again up above you can see a helicopter that is pretty close to the ground coming in and out. You can't go further than this.
Okay, looks like we're having some
They
trouble
say that they are with
Hi, Eric, we lost you for a sec, but we have you back. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Been working the sources, so I'm using my phone just in clarity because my photographer, Scott Simpson, is closer to the scene. So whenever I get a call from some of my sources trying to call around to see if we can get some updated information, I did talk to someone. They live above those apartment complex. So they sent out a statement saying, that it is an active shooter. They don't know much information, but they're trying to get back up there to their apartment complex, which is above that CVS and, of course, several different areas as well. And this is a drone unit that they've been in the drone. So they're using every resource possible here on the scene as they're still going in and out. We've seen SWAT, and again, I saw FBI agents here on the scene.
Eric, quick question for you, if you can hear us. You had mentioned that they were using that drone, that they were flying that up and over the CVS. Just to clarify, is that something that you've seen happen in the last 10, 15 minutes or so?
Here for probably a good 30 minutes or so, and they have that all the way up, but I haven't seen it return, so that drone is still presumably still up in the air.
What do they use the drone for? Do you know? I mean, have you seen police dispatch drones before in situations like this?
So yes, when I was out at Appalachian High School, they used a drone as well. A lot of times they can get just that aerial view. It can get a little closer than the helicopters that they can use up as well. They can also use it, I've seen it in different fire situations, but the heat sensor, so if there are any other bodies or any other presence that's inside of maybe that CVS or any of the buildings nearby, they can use that technology there, which is really relatively new, but really important to see and kind of scope out so they don't have to put the lives of The officers going inside, they can use that drone and the heat sensors to see if there are any bodies or any presence inside of a building before they make initial contact inside as well. Not sure if that's what they're using this for in particular, but that's what I've seen used in past situations similar to this.
Okay, Eric, thanks for that perspective there from the ground. And we're also just seeing another update in the last 15 minutes from Emory saying to continue to shelter in place, just letting people know that law enforcement is on scene. If you're in the area, you don't need to be told. I mean, you can clearly see it.
And we heard the siren. We heard it here in the studio, the siren wailing just over at the Emory campus in the CDC. Fox 5's Russ Spencer joining us from the newsroom once again. Russ, we understand you have some new information for us.
Yeah, just some new perspective from our colleague in Sky Fox 5. Again, this is officially still an active shooter situation, but our colleague in the helicopter has been watching this situation evolve over the last more than an hour now. And in the last 15 minutes or so, not only have we reported that there is a body under a sheet outside that CVS, he says, in his estimation, it appears the police are now in investigative mode, not in active shooter mode, and that Atlanta police helicopters have now left the scene. So take that for what you will. It is a developing situation, but apparently they are investigating now as opposed to being in an active shooter posture. Bullet holes, this is new information, bullet holes in buildings 21 and 24 of the CDC, and possibly building 18. And we are expecting more photos to come into the Fox 5 newsroom. And this would seem to suggest that this was not an accident. This was not a stray bullet that hit the CDC. We're looking at the broken window there from the inside at what appears to be a floor not near the ground. I can't tell from this vantage point whether it's the 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th floor, but there are many floors in some of those buildings, tall buildings there at the CDC, and bullet holes in 2 and perhaps 3 of them. So it would appear, this is based on just common sense, that the CDC was perhaps a target of this shooting. We did not know that before. The CVS seemed to be the focal point, but perhaps this began as an attack on the CDC. We will find out as the evening develops. Courtney,
We've been, we've just been pointing out, the proximity of the CDC, which has just, been on everyone's mind lately with all that's been happening. It's sitting right there. If you've ever driven by the CDC, and Russ, Courtney, you certainly know this, it is just a fortress, basically. It's you can't get in there if you're not supposed to be in there. So, the only way this perhaps could
harms multiple people, we have to put an end to that in our society.
So you heard it there, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens entering the realm of speculation when it comes to the motive behind this shooting. And I know he was responding to a question about some reports that had been out there that are unconfirmed. And although he was careful not to confirm anything that's been out there, maybe on social media and whatnot, about the suspect's identity and maybe social media posts and whatnot, he did mention that he's a white male, and he did get into the realm of talking about firearms. So maybe getting a little.
All right, Reverend Green, you were right. It's a white male.
You have to assume that this investigation is unfolding on many different fronts now. I mean, so you have the investigation that's unfolding.
Yes, this right here is now. This is actual live.
The investigation across the street at the CDC, where the gunfire impacted the building, and where there were witnesses inside who heard and experienced that. And then we're going to learn more about the suspect who was fatally taken down, because you have to think that wherever this guy lived, they're in his.
Hey guys, Reverend Green has been on point every time so far. He gets all the points tonight.
Background, his motives, why he went over there, and why he carried out this act today.
And of course, in 2025, the digital footprint is going to be very.
Guys, this is live right now.
than his physical surroundings and anything they can find there. But I thought that was a little odd that he mentioned those two things, but would not comment on things that are unconfirmed. I mean, we're only 3.5 hours out from when the situation happened.
We're waiting to advance this story in the form of a news conference that is supposed to get underway at any moment now, really, at the hospital at Emory University, where the officer was taken who was hit by gunfire today, just before 5 o'clock. And approaching those microphones will be the DeKalb County CEO, Lorraine Cochran-Johnson, and the interim DeKalb Police Chief, Greg Padrick. And so we're all waiting to have confirmed the information that we've been reading.
Kevin says it's always a white male because they're the only ones that work and then get passed over for raises because of DEI and affirmative action.
And so here at Fox 5, we don't confirm anything until we get official word from officials.
That's right. And also in all of this,
Marky Mark says, has not been on major channels. Wonder why. Well, we have it here on Watching the World.
Dickens, and we understand that we have live pictures of the reunification area where parents can pick up their kids. It's at 1900 Starvine Way. But we're also awaiting at any moment now that news conference, and we're getting word that it might start really soon here. So we're going to keep.
Okay, guys, we're going to catch the news conference with the latest update.
A lot of the emergency vehicles are staging themselves. I'm assuming we're going to go back to that live picture of the microphones if we're feeling like this news conference.
You're welcome, Marky Mark. Kevin says the walking narrative doesn't call it on a black man shoots other black men. Okay.
Taken.
Eric said watching the world is a major channel. Thank you very much. Marky Mark says DEI is out. Okay. Reverend Green says let them parents get their children.
Extraordinarily busy corridor that runs right through the heart of the Emory University. Okay, so get this. You got Emory University campus. You got Emory University Hospital. You have CDC headquarters.
That's right.
You have retail locations, and you have Emory Point and the CVS drugstore. You have that giant daycare facility across the street where upwards of 100 kids are being watched as they're busy.
Bordo says, yep, we cover stuff. JDP says, yes to Eric. For you and me both, I love unbiased show. Okay.
The location where parents are arriving to pick up their kids, and it looks like some of them have been waiting for some time. You can imagine that with the police presence and with Clifton Road still blocked off, that it might take a while for the daycare workers to get the kids to this location. And I think I remember it was mentioned that.
Guys, this is live and we're waiting on the public announcement.
Happening now at Emory University Hospital. Let's listen.
Over 3 million products.
We have Chief Padrick from the DeKalb County Police Department, as well as CEO Lorraine Cochran-Johnson. We'll start with Chief Padrick from the police department.
Evening, everyone. My name is Greg Padrick. I'm the interim chief for the DeKalb County Police Department. I'm not going to comment on the investigation and what's going on with the investigation that's being conducted by the Atlanta Police Department with assistance from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. But what I can say, it is with profound sadness that we announce the loss of the life of one of our very own DeKalb County police officers. This officer responded to the call as he was trained to do. And during that incident, he received gunfire and he lost his life in this incident. He was committed to serving the community. At this time, we're asking for the community's prayers for his family, his friends, his loved ones, and the entire DeKalb County Police Department family. It's a noble profession that we all do. We answer the call to serve our community, and he gave his life with a commitment to serve others, and he should be respected for that. At this time, we are not going to release his name with respect for the family, but we will provide his name and photograph at a later time. We ask for your prayers and your thoughts during this difficult time, especially for his family and for all of the officers involved in this incident and the DeKalb County Police Department. Thank you.
So the police officer lost his life.
Good evening. Of course, I'm Lorraine Cochran Johnson, DeKalb County CEO. And today is a very dark day in DeKalb County as we stand before you during the loss of one of our beloved officers. This evening, there is a wife without a husband. There are 3 children, one unborn without a father. There is a mother and a father, as well as siblings, who also share in this traumatic loss. This evening, my heart goes out to the family, as well as the DeKalb County family, and to our frontline responders, to our officers, who in this case simply answered the call. These are individuals who run towards danger when we have the ability to run away. So tonight, it is with profound sadness that I stand here and I say to all of those who serve as frontline responders and to our officers that we are here to support you, and to this family and to my DeKalb County family during this time. Let's join together to give this family the support that it needs during this traumatic loss. Thank you. So those are the official statements at this time. We will not take questions right now. We do plan to have an updated statement for you as we receive more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there's the official word of the fatal shooting of a DeKalb County police officer from the DeKalb County CEO and interim police chief. Just such a sad outcome.
Mm-hmm. Police Chief Greg Pedrick also just appearing, and just how personal this is for him and so many other members of the department there as they confirmed that they lost one of their own. They wouldn't release the name of the officer who was killed, but they said they will release his name and photo at a later date. They also didn't specify how many years this officer had served on the force, but the DeKalb County CEO did provide a few details about what's been lost here.
Mm-hmm.
She said the father of 3 children, one of which is unborn, and leaving behind a wife, and parents who obviously are just heartbroken at this hour. So many questions that we still have about that, but just with those few details.
But out of respect for the family and their grieving process in these initial hours after this tragedy now for the DeKalb County Police Department happened, out of respect for them.
Angie Terry says, may God bless his family. May he rest in peace. My heart goes out to them. Love, Miami.
Wife who, as the DeKalb CEO said, will now be without a husband, and those poor children who have lost their father, doing what Interim Chief Pedrick said his officers are trained to do, and that is, storm into the line of fire to try to neutralize people like this and what happened today.
It sounds like this officer who was killed was the first, one of the.
Chris Babcock says, start asking real questions. Why does society feel like they need to kill cops to be heard? Ask real questions.
This DeKalb police officer, who we now know has been killed, suffering from a gunshot wound. So he'd already been shot he or she had already been shot at the time that they arrived on scene.
And this officer, one of the first to arrive there at 10 minutes before 5 o'clock when all this happened, as night falls now on the CDC campus. And
Thank you, JDP. Sometimes StreamYard does an automatic mute. Not sure why.
parents kind of, they're all on their phones, probably communicating with their extended families and other parents, mothers.
Nana says the news said the shooter thought he had COVID, was mad at the CDC. This was just one of the news.
God, that their kid's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then try to explain it to them, by the way.
I know. Yeah. I'm sure the workers at that daycare have just been great in keeping the kids calm because you would have been able to hear the shots from the daycare.
I mean, if we heard them here at Fox.
Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me.
So, yeah, thank God all those kids are okay. Let's get back out to our Russ Spencer. Russ, just a really emotional, heavy, somber mood there outside Emory University Hospital, hearing from the DeKalb CEO and
Thank you, Chris.
this officer who's been killed.
Yeah, just a gut punch for law enforcement and for the entire Metro Atlanta community.
Chris says they kill us all the time. We don't hear any outcry. Boy, are they going. Let's see, the chat is moving. They are trash. Okay.
All this. And this fallen officer may share responsibility for having.
Thanks, Nikki. Appreciate it. Eric, thank you. May says, thank you. I wonder what his illness was.
Area that he rushed to the scene and engaged somebody with a high-powered weapon and paid for it with his life. As Chief Pedrick put it, he gave his life. He had a commitment to serve others, and that's how he died. And I'm sure, like me, you were just crestfallen to hear not only that he had a family, but a family with 3 children and 1 on the way. It's just unspeakable. It's just too much. And our hearts go out to his family, his extended family.
Reverend Green makes a good point. When you're outdoors in public, listen, rule number 1, no longer 15 seconds looking into your smart device. That's going to be a hard challenge for many people.
That many officers working together and putting their own lives in danger, knowing that there was an active threat.
Chris Babcock says, this is coming. They did this. Blue did this with unlawful actions, lying, killing my people. Stop making him a good man. I promise you, look into it. He was not a good man.
We have lost one of our finest, and we need to, as Lorraine Cochran Johnson said, join the police department, join the entire community in trying to lift up this family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the chief asking for prayers for family, friends, loved ones. Yeah, it's just been a really heart-wrenching day for so many people attached to this situation.
But you can't be amplified enough, Russ, what you said, and that is the bravery of these frontline responders to situations like this, where somebody is on the loose with such a powerful weapon. But it is now something in our culture and society where, situations like this are not completely like shocking to law. I mean, we're sort of, and they talk about the training that goes into responding to situations like this, but to be on the front of mind of the first responders and to know, I mean, the mayor, Dickens, talk about the drills that they go through to confront situations like this, and and how to get them under control in the fastest way they can.
Well, you think about situations where, and understandably,
guys, thank you for hitting the like button, sharing, and subscribing. We really do see that
law enforcement do so many times, but there have been tragedies and mass shootings where maybe the first officer there on scene was too scared, or they panicked and they couldn't go towards the gunfire, and there were more casualties as a result. So just hearing the details coming out in these early stages about what this officer may have done, as Russ pointed out, it really could have prevented a much bigger tragedy here, especially knowing that there were 92 children at a daycare center right across the street.
Just echoing obviously our hearts are just, broken for the DeKalb County Police Force and this officer and his family. And so are the viewers watching with us on our YouTube channel. So many joining us. I'm going to read Jamila because I think she encapsulates the feeling of our viewers, and that her condolences and prayers are to the officer and their family, enduring such an unimaginable situation at the hands of a nutcase who decided to our own community.
And that's a good point, because we are asking so many questions about the motive, the why. Why would you do? I mean, is there anything that can justify this kind of senseless violence that you're shooting at innocent people across a busy street over the heads of innocent children with no regard for the people who live in that apartment building? And, it'll be interesting.
Okay, Phil's Real News and Info says this has happened in the inner cities for years. It's just not publicized because they wanted people to be unalived. Okay.
Approached the top of the hour here on a story that's been with us since just before news time at 5 o'clock here on Fox 5. Something that's happening literally in our own backyard here, so close to the station, where one of our own employees heard the gunfire as he walked out to go to the parking lot to go home for the weekend, and ran back into our assignment desk and said, "Hey guys, something's unfolding really close to us," because I just heard
Good night, Lavender.
being fired, and he was right. As this is a shot from the traffic camera on Clifton Road of the scene right now, and you can see it's still very active as the investigation into what happened here and the motives of this person that carried out the gunfire today begin to be realized. But this just happened right before 5 o'clock when the gunfire rang out at the CVS drugstore there on Clifton Road, right across the street from the heavily fortified CDC campus, where gunfire struck one of their impact-resistant windows high above the CDC campus, not one, but two, and perhaps even three of their buildings. And so as the days unfold, we're going to learn what the motivation of this shooter was.
That's right. And police declining to specify what kind of weapon was used, although it was almost certainly, I don't want to speculate, but again, our marketing director who overheard the shots thought it sounded like a rifle.
And who's familiar with guns.
Familiar with guns. I mean, it's got to be a certain kind of firearm to reach the distance and also the height at which you can see those bullet holes that were in the glass there. I don't want to really call them holes because we don't know if the bullets or rounds actually made it through the glass, but definitely damaged them to a significant degree. But again, as we're hearing about the moments that officer, that DeKalb County officer confronted the shooter, it's just really stunning. We heard from Darren Shearbaum that he was critically injured already when the Atlanta police officers arrived on scene around 4:50. So very clearly the shots started, the shooter was confronted. That all must have happened so quickly for that officer to confront him alone.
And then we learned that the officer lost his life doing just that, from the DeKalb County CEO and the interim chief just a few moments ago. Let's listen.
But what I can say, it is with profound sadness that we announce the loss of the life of one of our very own DeKalb County police officers. This officer responded to the call as he was trained to do. And during that incident, he received gunfire and he lost his life in this incident. He was committed to serving the community. At this time, we're asking for the community's prayers for his family, his friends, his loved ones, and the entire DeKalb County Police Department family. It's a noble profession that we all do. We answer the call to serve our community, and he gave his life with a commitment to serve others, and he should be respected for that. At this time, we are not going to release his name with respect for the family, but we will provide his name and photograph at a later time. We ask for your prayers and your thoughts during this difficult time, especially for his family and for all of the officers involved in this incident and the DeKalb County Police Department.
This evening, there is a wife without a husband. There are 3 children, 1 unborn without a father. There is a mother and a father, as well as siblings, who also share in this traumatic loss. Let's join together to give this family the support that it needs during this traumatic loss.
Fox 5's Kim Loeffler was at that news conference when it happened. Kim, the emotions palpable out there. Give us your perspective from when you were listening to those 2 officials from DeKalb County.
Yeah, it was a very heavy moment. You can certainly see the emotion in their faces, as well as from the other law enforcement officials who were there to support them, including the DeKalb County Sheriff, Melanie Maddox, as well as Sheriff Patrick Labat from Fulton County, who were all there. Certainly a really tough evening for the law enforcement.
Chris says this is the only thing cops understand. Bill's Real News and Info says, how do we stop this violence? Reverend Green says, how long was he on the force? Okay. The Golden Path, thanks for joining in with us. It's all I think about. Okay. What do you guys think about when you're in public? You always have to look over your shoulder these days. You never know where they're going to come from, right? Lavender Smile says, so sorry. Damien says, what happened? We're covering the shooting that happened in Atlanta, Georgia this evening, and it appears that a police officer lost his life. He had a wife and 3 children, 1 child on the way, one of the 3. All right, thanks.
Leaving behind a wife, 2 kids. Sounds like that wife had another baby on the way. And yeah, just clearly a very emotional time for all the people connected to this law enforcement officer.
Chris says, Phil, you can't stop the violence. Everyone wants to see their own side. They watch too much TV and think cops are good people. It has to happen to protect society and change the system. Damien says, oh, someone's shooting again. Go figure, America. Paul, White Folks Wallace says, where's this at? This is in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Phil's Real News and Info says, how do we stop the violence? Gun control won't solve the issue without law-abiding citizens having weapons. We will be overrun by criminals. There has to be harsher punishments for the people. Okay. Phil's Real Media says that perpetrate these crimes. Eric says, yes, I'm always looking carefully. Very important to be alert. And as Reverend Green said, you shouldn't be looking at your phone for an extended period of time in these days. Okay, thank you.
Why he was detained in all of this. They later released him. He had a good sense of humor about it, but he said he was just honestly in the area when all of this unfolded, and with investigations like this and a large sweep, police are just being very careful that if you were there in that scene, they want to make sure that you had some sort of explanation or reason before they let you go there as well. So he is free. So we wanted to make sure that we clear that up as well. He did have some sort of badge. I couldn't tell exactly where it was there, but he was just in his car, and police have since let him go. And before I go, I just want to move out of the way just to show you the sea of blue lights here. I think Kim Loeffler mentioned this, or maybe.
And everybody, this is live as we speak.
Situations and scenes like this. This is one of the most police presence or heaviest police presence that I've seen. This is up, of course, by the CDC across from the CBS, but the police still all the way lined down Clifton Road, all the way to the Briarcliff, which is a good half mile, if not longer. And there's still other officers going in and out of that as well. Of course, we'll be out here all throughout the night. I've been talking with people, and we'll have the latest when you join us at 10 after that game. Tom, Courtney.
Wow, just stunning details coming out about that arrest. Eric, thanks.
We'll have so many more details after the game. Thanks for joining us here on Fox Local for our continuing coverage.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We covered the shooting. We covered this live throughout the afternoon. It was nice to have so many of you guys here with me to go through and check this out. I hope everybody have a good night. We'll be back live again. Tune in on Sunday at 3 o'clock. We have a nice show coming forward. The criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson and I, we're going to cover the usual subjects, but with a legal twist. We're really going to dig more into Sean Diddy Combs' case. We're also going to talk about Donald Trump and some of the other cases that a lot of people are talking about that's hot on the press, folks. So thank you again. Have a good night. I really do appreciate the support. We have so many people that keep coming back, and I think it's a beautiful thing. So until next time, be safe and be alert, and keep in mind what Reverend Green said. When you're in public, don't keep your head buried into your cell phones, and stay alert, folks. Stay alert at all times. You just never know what people are going through and what they're capable of doing at any place. A lot of these incidents are happening at places you would never imagine. Yes, indeed. So have a good night, and thank you.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days inside. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.